The OG Sapphic television series Xena Warrior Princess is talking about a reboot. The trailer for Frauds, which stars Jodie Whittaker and Suranne Jones, has landed. Do we think this heist drama with an emotional heartbeat will also include some Sapphic things going on? The morning show had its first episode of season 4 drop last week, and it appears that Bradley is a free agent because Laura is out of the picture. What does that mean for any Sapphic potential on the show this season? And we also have Wicked starting to release details about its upcoming movie, Wicked for Good, and I of course have been scouring it for any indication that Gelphie will go canon. Let's talk about all of this in Sapphic news. Hello lady lovers, I'm doing a slightly different video today. There have been a few things that have popped up on my radar that I know I will never make a video about, so I wanted to bring it all together, and I thought that maybe this is something that you guys might like. Let's start off by talking about Xena Warrior Princess, the OG Sapphic show. If you have not seen it, can you call yourself a Sapphic? I'm just joking. But at the beginning of September, we celebrated its 30th anniversary, and with it came out some articles where I simply had to touch on the fact that we had RJ Stewart, the head writer of the show, confirming once again just how gay this show was. He said, "We embraced the lesbian subtext with unbridled glee. Hearing that there were Xena nights and gay bars around the country cracked me up. That was perfect. Our general rule was ride the subtext whenever it makes sense. Everyone did that, so there was very little need to talk about it. In the olden days, when people asked me if Xena and Gabrielle were gay, I used to say, I'll leave that up to the fans. But 30 years later, the fans have spoken. They're definitely gay now." I love this idea that it wasn't spoken about, but everyone was just riding on this train of the subtext, and it definitely shows throughout the series. I just had to talk about that first. I also wanted to make mention of what Lucy Lawless, the actress who played Xena, said. She said, "We never thought about sexuality or anything. Well, at least Lucy never seemed to think about it. I think that other people on the show were, but she wasn't. But we did think about love, and it's only about finding the love in the scene. When you don't know what else to do, look for the love in the scene. And that was, I guess, the magic ingredient. Just look for the love in the scene, because all the scenes are about love or trying to get love or trying to run to love." And I think that's why Lucy gave such an impassioned performance, because it definitely looked like Xena was completely head over heels in love with Gabrielle, when paired with the fact that RJ Stewart and his writers team were also giving them these massive grand declarations. But moving on to the reboot, Rob Tappert, who is the executive producer of Xena Warrior Princess, has announced that there is potentially going to be a reboot. Now, this is not new information. There has been talk about a reboot ever since the show ended, but nothing has ever come of it. The closest that we came to it was, I think it was somewhere around 2016. There was a pitch that was created, and then the first episode was even written. I watched a video that I've linked down in the description, which takes you in depth on not only the pitch, but also the episode, and I just have to say I'm so glad that that never got made. It was a complete travesty and undercut what made Xena such a special show. But with Rob Tappert saying that he is now looking to make a reboot, I think that maybe there's just a little bit more chance that this will come about. So he doesn't want to recycle what has already happened on the show, and I totally agree. I feel like that is lightning in a bottle, and we do not want to try and recapture lightning in a bottle. So it sounds like there's a potential that they might get Lucy and Renee back, our two stars, and they would try to tell a story about where they are 30 years down the line. Of course, that would require Xena to come back from the dead, which she should have never died in the first place. So nebulous details for now, but he did say that in 3 to 6 months, he expects to see a script written. All of this came from an interview celebrating the 30 years of Xena in an EW article, where they interviewed a number of people from Xena, including the actress who played Aphrodite, Alex Tidings, and I suspected, but I did not know for sure, that she is a Sapphic, and she confirmed it in this article, so I just had to shout her out for that. I've linked the article in the description. Moving on to the Frauds trailer that recently came out. This is going to be a heist drama, but apparently with an emotional heartbeat, and it's going to star 2 actresses who have already had forays into Sapphic characters. We've got Jodie Whittaker, who played the 13th Doctor, who expressed an attraction towards her female companion, Yasmin Khan, and she also played a Sapphic in the Australian television series One Night. Suranne Jones, of course, we know her from Gentleman Jack, and she also has played Sapphic in Vigil. So bringing these these two women together, of course it's going to get our attention, and the fact that they are going to be partners in crime who were separated by a 10-year prison sentence only to be drawn back into a toxic codependent relationship suggests that maybe there was something in their history. So when the trailer came out, I was paying attention to see if there was any indication of a Sapphic history between these two, and there are a few little clues that could go either way. So Saran Jones' character has been let out on compassionate leave because she is going to die from cancer, and the first thing she does is to seek out Jodie Whittaker's character and says to her,
"I want to do one last job with you before I die."
It's getting my Sapphic spidey senses tingling. Then we also have Saran Jones' character wearing a Hawaiian shirt, giving me lesbian on holiday vibes. And at the end of the trailer, we get,
"You two deserve each other."
I am getting Thelma and Louise, I'm getting Ocean's 8, both of which are heavy with Sapphic subtext. The article I read also called this a complex, surprising friendship, and if the surprise is that they were ex-lovers, I am totally down for that, but for now I'm going to assume that this is all subtextual. It will not stop me, however, from watching it when it comes out. We also have The Morning Show on Apple Plus, which released its first episode of season 4, which had Bradley, one of the leads of the show, played by Reese Witherspoon, having a romantic relationship with Laura, who was played by Juliana Margulies. And I was surprised in season 3 to see Laura not only back, but her and Bradley trying to give it a go. By the end of the season, things had fallen apart. Now, I don't know if this is true, but there were rumors that Juliana Margulies was dropped from The Morning Show because there was some controversy around some things that she said, although The Morning Show officially said that Laura had already been reduced down to a 1-episode guest star, and that as a consequence, Juliana Margulies said that she preferred not to return. What this means is that Bradley is now a free agent, and we see her return in the first episode to host The Morning Show once again. I have seen a few spoiler images out and about on the internet which suggests strongly that Bradley is going to pick up a romance with Corey. I have to say I am highly disappointed. If you saw my review of season 3, I talked about how toxic he really is, and I was just not there for that kind of dynamic. And I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. They have been building up the Corey and Bradley relationship since season 1. That means I will not be doing a season 4 review as I had intended to originally, and so I decided to make mention of it here. And I had to make mention of the fact that when Bradley came back to town, she goes to visit Alex, and as she says, "Hey you," as she gets out of the elevator, I was right back to shipping Alex and Bradley together, which is what I was doing in season 1. Finally, we're going to talk about Wicked and an interview that came out a couple of weeks ago, which I think reveals what we can expect in the second part, Wicked for Good, and whether or not we can expect any Gelphie things to occur. This is also an interview with EW, and I will link this article in the description. While interviewing John Shu, the director of the movies, he had this to say. What we really focused on was no matter what, it's always about either one of them or their relationship, he explains. What we discovered was it's the girls stupid at every turn. So when one's going through something, there's something that they've learned from the other that affects them, or the fact that the other person is not there is a part of what can't get them to their goal. It's always about them. We are also told in this article that they're going to meet up a lot earlier in Act 2 than they do in the stage play. This is teased with the fact that we see them standing together in Munchkinland and appears to be in a fight. And so it seems they have reworked the second act quite a lot in order to give it more of an emotional punch. Of course, upon hearing that the ladies are going to meet up a lot earlier, it also makes me wonder if we're going to get a far more overt romantic slant to their relationship. And a little part of me has hoped that Gelphie could go canon. However, within the same article, I had to temper my expectations because the following was also said. Fans of the stage show will know that Fiyero does eventually catch up to Elphaba, hooking up with Elphaba during the sexy ballad As Long As You're Mine, which Chew teases will deliver more on its romantic suggestions than the theatrical production. Most damning of all, he says, you finally get to feel the ascension that they give each other through the relationship. So it sounds like they're going to make more of a meal of it in the second half, and this alone is enough to completely temper and maybe even put out the fire of hope that I had inside myself that there could be anything more between Elphaba and Glinda. I think a kiss, at this point at least, is 100% out of the question in my mind. Okay, so that was all I really wanted to talk to you about. If you like this, please give this a thumbs up. The more you engage with my videos, the further they spread, and I really appreciate every time you leave a thumbs up or a comment. Let me know if this format was interesting to you. Do you know of any other juicy Sapphic news that I should talk about? And until next time, lady lovers.